I got steady motion, 2, 3, I'm like Jordan. Every day I'm jumping, I turn up the function. I'ma keep it jumping, jumping, jumping. I'ma keep it jumping, jumping and jumping. I got steady motion.
All right, y'all. We've got a very special guest today. Someone who's been making history and shaping the future of Montgomery. He's the 57th mayor of the city, and more importantly, he's the first Black mayor in Montgomery's long and complex history. Born and raised right here in the capital city, Mayor Stephen L. Reed comes from a family rooted in public service. His father, Joe Reed, has been a major force in Alabama politics for decades. Mayor Reed took that legacy and ran with it, earning degrees from Morehouse College and Vanderbilt University before stepping into leadership himself. Before becoming mayor in 2019, he served as Montgomery County's first Black probate judge, where he worked to modernize the court system and increase community engagement. Since taking office, he's focused on economic growth, public safety, and making Montgomery a hub for small business innovation. Under his leadership, the city has seen over $1 billion in capital investments, major improvements in housing development, and public safety initiatives like Together We Rise, aimed at reducing violence and strengthening communities. But beyond the office, Mayor Reed is also a husband, a father of 3, and a proud member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. He's been leading Montgomery through some big changes while staying true to his roots. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my mayor, Stephen L. Reed.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for joining me, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Look, this means a lot to me. My first podcast, Defying Gravity. And I said, man, I'm going to try to see if I can get the mayor. And you accepted, man. So this is going to be major, right?
I'm honored. Absolutely.
Man.
Let's get to it. I didn't know it was your first one, man. So thank you.
First one, yeah, man. So we're going to be legit. We're going worldwide.
All right. There we go.
Man, I was at the State of the City last night, man. You giving Obama vibes now, man.
Hey, man, listen, I appreciate that. You know, I take that as a compliment. We got to have the vision, and we have to have the aspiration to follow that vision. And we have to make sure, you know, that we are setting the bar high for what we expect and the things that we're going to do around here.
Okay. Well, look, the idea for this show was to humanize you, because every time I see you, man, you dressed up, you suited up. But I've been around you in some environments, and I'm like, man, Steve, real.
Yeah.
Like, so I want to give the viewers an idea of what it's like for you. Like, you're from Montgomery, right?
Absolutely. Born and raised.
What side?
West side.
West. You what?
South side.
South side?
All of it.
All that?
That's right. ASU. What you call ASU?
That's really kind of center, right?
That's center.
Yeah.
All right. Bel Air. We want to say that. Okay.
Yeah.
It's west side of Montgomery now, because the center of Montgomery now is Vaughn Road and Perry Hill. So I guess back then, before we were out past Bell Road, that was center. So it's no longer center. As the city has moved east,
right?
You know, the center has shifted. Right. So right now, Vaughn Road Church of Christ, Vaughn Road Park is the center of the city.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll go with center. Okay. We'll go with that.
So tell me this: what was it like growing up in Montgomery for you? What was your childhood like?
Oh man, you know, for me it was great. You know, I think one of the things that I appreciated was having a great atmosphere growing up 2 blocks from ASU. So, you know, we were on the campus practically every day. My mom was an administrator in the grad school there. And so, you know, pickups and drop-offs were kind of around her office at Council Hall.
Right.
So we spent, you know, all of our time, you know, going to football games, right, basketball games at C.J. Dunn Arena, right, sweat boxes, folks used to call it, and stuff, right, like that. You know, going to those big games at Crampton Bowl, 7 p.m. Saturday night. It was always the same time. That was the meetup, you know, for that group. But then going over to Cleveland Avenue Y in the summers, growing up over there with a lot of great friends that I still have to this day.
Man, being from the West Side, like going to the Cleveland Avenue YMCA is almost like a rite of passage to live on that side of town, man. Like you either play football, but I learned how to swim over there.
Oh, listen, and learning how to swim at Cleveland Avenue is a little different than learning how to swim some other places.
Yeah, somebody kick you in.
That's right. It's literally sink or swim.
Swim to the rope.
It's literally sink or swim. That's
Look,
right.
When I learned how to swim, my sister was a lifeguard there. I could hear her on the side of the pool screaming, "You better swim!"
Right.
And I'm drinking chlorine.
Right. That my brother was the same way. Was the worst. I think he took out a lot of stuff that happened at the house on me when I got over to the Y because my parents weren't around.
Right. And then also NYSP was the summer program.
Right. That's right. Over at ASU.
You got to be old school Montgomery.
Yeah.
That is cool. So look, you had such a rich history with ASU, but you went to Morehouse.
Yeah.
And I have respect for Morehouse because all of the Morehouse men I know, they're doing great things.
Yeah.
So what was life like when you went? What made you go to Morehouse?
Well, my brother had gone several years before me.
Okay.
So, you got to think at that time, A Different World was a major, TV show showing Black culture, Black college life, which was so attractive. And that came after school days.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm dating myself a little bit. But, when you watch those movies now and you think about just the vibe, it was different.
Right.
And so, again, being on ASU's campus, I had grown up. I mean, I went to ZSC, the Early Childhood Center. So, I mean, literally, grown up on the campus. So when you grow up that close to an HBCU, you can hear the band at night and practicing all those things. You understand the cultural connectivity, to an HBCU. You think about all the lecturers, all the people. And my mom made us go. We didn't always want to go to those programs over there. And I can just remember now as I'm talking about it, it was so much culture that we got because we were forced to go and we didn't appreciate it all in the moment. But by the time I got to middle school, my sister had gone to Howard. Mm-hmm. So I'd been to DC. I'd been on Howard's campus. My brother was at Morehouse. So by the time I said middle school, really junior high school still for us. By the time we got there, I knew I was going to an HBCU, and for the most part, I knew that it was going to be Morehouse because, as I mentioned this in the book, First Best, when my brother was going, we met with one of my dad's homeboys who was a graduate of Morehouse, but they knew each other from really the country. My dad's from Connecticut County, from Evergreen. Is his seat? He'll say he ain't from Evergreen. He from the country part of the county. But some of his guys, were talking to my brother on our college trip. And basically the thing I remember most, and again, I mentioned this before, is the guy said, if you want to be average, go somewhere else.
Right.
But if you want to be great, you come to Morehouse. And I'll never forget that. I was like in probably 6th or 7th grade then. And I was like, I want to be great.
So it's got to be embedded into the culture there. Like, what is it about going to Morehouse that squeezes that level of excellence out of it?
It's the mystique. It's what, Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, who was the longtime president at Morehouse and then later became superintendent of Atlanta Public Schools, said in the sense of, Morehouse really sets the standard. Howard Thurman once said that Morehouse places a crown above its students' heads with the expectation that they will grow tall enough to wear it. So when you consider that from a theologian like Howard Thurman and then the mystique that Dr. Mays brought in, which was, we're going to not only look the part and sound the part, but we're going to be the part. Most importantly, there's just a level of expectation there that is no nonsense when you come. And it is to expose you to all things centered around excellence. And in particular, those things around really Black excellence globally, not just in terms of how we think of it in America, but globally, and understanding the history of humanity, where that was founded, understanding through education and information how we became who we are, and understanding what's responsible for us as men in our communities to lead in whatever capacity that may be.
So I heard you say last night at the State of the City address that you actually played sports.
Yeah.
What sports were those?
Football. I could never make the basketball team. So my son kind of rubs that in my face now that he's on basketball team.
I ain't hoping at BTW.
He's trying to do a little something, man.
My son was taking pictures there and he said, whenever your son did stuff, everybody was clapping. You were just sitting there like I knew he could do that.
You know what? I told him. I looked at him and I was like, I'm thinking about those shots you missed and the defensive assignment he missed.
You tripping? Like,
look, I'm looking at what he didn't do, not what he did do.
Come on.
But you couldn't tell him anything. You know, he felt like he had done a little something. The first thing I asked him, well, how come you didn't rotate out on that 3?
Right.
You know, you got to rotate out, get a hand in the face. So,
and is that a part of like fatherhood? Because like I said in my introduction, like your father is a great man. Was he like that with you? And you know what it takes for like everything you said about Morehouse, you know what it takes to reach that level of excellence. And so I ain't finna clap for that 3-pointer.
Right.
I'm clapping for the stuff I know you ain't spending time on.
Yep.
So, you know, I go through some of the same stuff with my son.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I think we all do, you know, and I think as dads now is different than, you know, when we were growing up. It's a different culture. It's a different, you know, mindset. And so you have to adjust and adapt. You know, I think from my standpoint, I try to balance, you know, the praise with, you know, the push a little bit. And I try to make sure that, you know, there is that support. But again, the expectations are high. We've been blessed as a family, not only from, you know, my father, but my uncles, my older cousins, friends in the community who were setting, you know, great examples for us and pushing us. And, you know, the thing I try to talk to both of my sons about is, you know, there is a level of expectation for them to succeed and to do well and to give back.
Right.
Because of what God has afforded us to have access to. And that is to, you know, really see things and hear things at a level that not everyone gets that chance. Right. So whether it's sports or whether it's school, doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes, but you have to learn from them and you have to be committed to trying to be the very best you can through hard work and effort. You know, one of the things we were watching this piece on Kobe Bryant, I said, you got to listen to, you know, what it means to have a Mamba mentality.
Right.
And that's just not for me for sports. That's excellence. That's everything, right? And what it means to really drive and push yourself to be the very best at everything you do and not take time off and not settle for, you know, things that, you know, you might be immediately satisfying, but how do we look at it over the course of the long term and what really is going to produce the type of results we want?
But one thing about that Mamba mentality, it's mean.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people didn't like Kobe.
That's true.
And you got to be able to embrace that, right?
To be a champion, I haven't seen a champion that didn't have a killer instinct.
LeBron, he's nice.
Yeah, until you in business with LeBron, until you on a team with LeBron and you're a rookie that he's telling, you know, you ought to know some of these things at this point, and he wants some veterans around him because he knows they know the game. Right. They know the intricacies of the game.
Right.
Not just about score, how to set that pick, how to rotate, you know, all those things. So, yeah, you can be nice at times, but you also know that there's a time when you have to draw the line that says, we got to execute and get this done.
That dog.
That's right. You got to have it.
And Morehouse College just ranked among the top 50 U.S. film schools in the nation.
Right.
Did they have the program while you were there?
No, man. I'm old school now. I tell the cats now, they got it so good at Morehouse, I don't even know if it's Morehouse anymore.
Right.
I'm like, y'all got it so cush around here. Y'all, you know, y'all not going through the hard times and all this stuff. So, no, that is really a testament to Spike Lee, the legendary filmmaker and Morehouse alumnus who has poured back into the college and has brought his relationships and his opportunities back to the college to get it off the ground. And then as Atlanta has expanded to be a TV and film hub, that has helped Morehouse, no doubt, you know, kind of expand that. But, you know, we want to do that here in Montgomery. I've been talking about that for the last 3 or 4 years, and we were blessed to have one of my homeboys and all of ours, I guess, Saudine Patterson, you know, bring the Wonder Years here and to record and to film here for a couple of seasons. And that was outstanding. So now we want to move forward with setting up our TV and film office so creatives will see this as a place that they can call home and it's a place they can do work. And the great thing about it is I talked to some folks, this is probably about a year or ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, from Tyler Perry Studios, was that we got great proximity to Atlanta. So as the costs are rising there, they're looking, the TV and film industry are looking for other places. Well, we want to be in that discussion, and really we want to be at the front of the line, whether it's Tyler Perry or whether it's somebody else that's looking to do that kind of work right here in the city of Montgomery.
And that excites me as an artist because there's not a lot of opportunities to make money if you're an actor or a performer. But that film industry or getting into the record industry, the more you bring that level of industry here, it's more opportunities. I know a couple people like Kalonji Gilchrist, who's in the studio today with Car Creative. They do great work, documentaries. So that could be great opportunities.
Man, I think he did this documentary on this guy I know that won this election. Stephen Reed. Yeah. I think he did a documentary on that guy.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
We have to see how he's doing these days.
Yeah, but you know what? One thing I enjoy about you and your leadership, you do look out for the arts. Like even in your speech last night when you spoke up for the arts, I was like,
oh, absolutely,
you're talking to us.
Absolutely.
So, what relationship do you have with the arts? Do you have a special relationship?
My relationship, I know I'm not artistic, so I admire those who are.
Well,
so we try to support the creators because I know what my limitations are. So we try to make sure those who have it, we support them and we uplift them here so we can try to keep some of y'all around this place.
Well, the video I saw of you singing at Johnny Red's funeral.
Oh, man.
Huh?
Yeah.
What inspired that?
Oh, man, I just told you about, guys that we had, growing up who kind of showed us the ropes from day one. And Johnny Red was one of those guys. Truly, gone too soon. And a guy who was always supportive, great friend, great big brother. And, I think that, when you're in the space of trying to pay tribute, you want to do the person justice. And I don't really have any one way of doing it. I kind of go with how I feel. And, My Soul's Been Anchored is a song I've heard, I feel like all my life, but for a long time in the church. And I just felt like that fit the moment. I just thought that for Johnny Red and for his family, and for me too, let me put myself in, I needed something to kind of uplift me.
Yeah.
And that was kind of just what hit me at the time. It wasn't talking anymore. It was, the only way I knew how to communicate it was through song. And look, I grew up in a church, in a very small church where we had to sing.
Right.
You didn't have an option.
You weren't scared.
Yeah, I wasn't scared. You didn't have an option. You had to sing. And I just felt that in the moment. And that song just hit me because of the lyrics and just because I felt like it fit him and it fit, what the community was feeling to lose somebody like that.
Man, Johnny Red, I've seen Johnny Red outside of the boardroom.
Yeah.
The party's supposed to be in the boardroom.
That's right.
Johnny Red, he opening up liquor outside the parking lot. He got a whole party out in the parking lot.
That's right.
I don't know. Am I snitching right now?
No, you're not. Look, we telling the legacy.
Right.
That's what it is.
But that dude, wherever he was the party.
Oh yeah.
Very good dude. Never met a stranger.
Nope. No, man. Just a great guy. Always been that way. For one of those local legends back in the day.
Right.
And I think just a guy who was always pushing, positivity, from any vantage point that I could see it, and a guy who was supportive. Before I ran for anything, he was one of those guys saying, man, you need to run. We need some new leadership. We need some new ideas. It's time for some young bloods. Back when I could call myself young blood. This was like right after Obama. So this is like 09 and 10.
Right.
I didn't run until started in 2011. And he was one of those guys saying, we need some young people. We need some new faces and new ideas. And just being a promoter of people, and not just political, business, entrepreneurship, education. That's the guy who I knew. That's the guy that I saw and had some great stories and, it's always had great energy.
So do you see yourself, like Montgomery is a place of history, rich history. Do you see yourself as a history maker?
You know what, man? I unintentionally now, because I think people have, brought it to my attention, right? So not even, long before even the book, I think having the elders, be supportive. To have a late Congressman John Lewis, support me in 2012 when we were running to be the first black probate judge, which was a big deal at that time because people, one, don't know how powerful and important the position is. Two, we had not had anyone in it that reflected where the community was and that shared, our perspective and shared our history. And so I remember reaching out to him and asking him about his support, he being Congressman Lewis. And I mean, he was just stunned, because he was talking about how elections used to be. And the elections fall under the probate judge. And he knew how important that position was. The board of registrars, recounted those fights to get blacks to be on the board of registrars. All those things that we probably, I think, unfortunately take for granted now, that just started going through. And certainly he had a relationship with my father going back, several decades, but he was just glad that, I was seeking this position and telling me about the importance. So when you have icons like that that are saying, hey, this is why we did the march and this is why we did the protest. And this is what this means all the way through people both locally and in other parts of the country. I think, again, accidentally, maybe reluctantly, you start to see, well, maybe we are doing something that makes me a history maker. But I don't think of my actions or my approach of what I'm doing for history. Really, I think about what I'm doing for the future. And if history is made by that, then so be it. But it's really about tomorrow and clearing the path for others. Again, because of the blessings I've had and the opportunities that I've been afforded because of my family and who we've been around, who we've been able to learn from and listen to, it's like, well, we know what has to be done for the next generation, and we've got to make that decision today, even if I don't see the benefits of it, and I probably won't. I know that down the line, somebody else will.
Well, I'm born and raised here. I can most definitely say you're a history maker. Like today's Montgomery, like this was not Montgomery, not even 10 years ago. So like you have changed. I've seen many of my peers' life change under your leadership. So I can tell you that you are a history maker. But I have a question to ask because like as your second term gets close to an end, I'm like, man, who's next?
Yeah.
And how much responsibility do you take for who's next?
Oh, a lot. I think any leader, should look for successors. I was always taught that. And, I'm always looking, as I think people did with me, at who can lead the community in respective ways. It may not even be political, right? It may be from the standpoint of, who's doing it in business, who's doing it in the arts, who's doing it in education and philanthropically. I'm a believer in trying to bring some of our talent back. If I meet somebody in DC or Atlanta, there's a great story right now. We're working on this great soul sister in Atlanta who's in the restaurant business, working at one of the top restaurants in the city. Everybody knows it. And I walk in there with some friends. I think it was homecoming weekend. And I didn't know she was from Montgomery. And she came over and introduced herself. She truly grew up on the west side and, told me where she went to school. And I was like, well, how can we get you back? She was like, I would love to come back. I've been in the restaurant space for 10 years here. And I'm in a high-end restaurant. I'm like, that's what we need. Let me know how I can support. I told our economic development director and others, I said, we have to make sure that our talent that never felt maybe appreciated or welcomed understands that there's a place for them here now. So they don't just have to come see Nana or come check in on, granddad or whatever. They can come and really anchor us and bring the expertise they have here. So from my standpoint as a leader, you should always be looking at the next generation and those that you want to come up and then try to place them. I was placed in cities. They weren't always glamorous. They weren't always what I wanted to do, but it was a project and it was kind of a situation to say, all right, let's see how Stephen handles this. And we put him on this board or we ask him to volunteer and lead this project. And we're not going to pay him.
Right.
But you got to give your Saturdays. You got to give up some Sundays, some Friday evenings to do this. And that's part of the process. Right. And I think for certainly us right now in Montgomery to be in this space where we are trying to change, the outcomes, change the culture, change the mindset, change the perspective, it's important for me to say, let's see how this person fares in this particular position.
Right.
The best example, and I'll stop with this, is Dr. King.
Right.
Dr. King was 26, had not been here 1 year. And you think about, E.D. Nixon, who had been leading marches on the current City Hall in the 40s. He had come out of A. Philip Randolph, sleeping Pullman car porter movement. He understood unions and organizing. He was the leader, and certainly one of them. And for them to yield along with some of the other senior pastors and say, well, I think Reverend King should be the spokesperson for the MIA. Right. He wasn't from Montgomery, hadn't been in the church long, didn't know he was going to make it.
Right.
And was 26. That's the best case, in my opinion, we have as a community to look at. So who are we not to do that now? And I think that's one of the mantras that not only myself, but Kirk Hatch and I have talked about this. We talked about with some other folks that we have to be looking and placing talented people to help us move this community forward because one, it takes that, but two, it's the right thing to do.
That's right. Well, look, we're going to take a short pause right here. We'll be right back with more from my mayor, Mayor Stephen L. Reed.
Are you a realtor looking to showcase your properties in a way that stands out? An insurance agent aiming to build trust and educate your clients? Or a nonprofit ready to share your mission and inspire action on a larger scale? At Digital Media Collective, we specialize in turning your message into a compelling story that reaches the audience you need. With today's fast-paced digital landscape, your message deserves much more than just being heard. It needs to resonate. That's where we come in. Our team offers cutting-edge solutions like professional podcasts, video marketing, and social media content that transforms your vision into powerful connections. When you partner with Digital Media Collective, you're not just investing in media, you're investing in growth, visibility, and impact. Let us help you craft a message that reaches hearts and drives results. Let's connect and bring your vision to life. Contact us today to schedule a consultation. Together, we amplify your voice and take your communication to the next level.
We're back with our first episode of Defying Gravity, and I have my mayor here, Stephen L. Reed. And look, it's going down. We're going to crank up part 2, but I got one question for you.
Yes, sir.
Who you got for the Super Bowl?
The Qs.
The Qs.
The Eagles. Jalen Hurts, baby. We gonna fly with the Eagles. You come on now. Come on. You knew that.
Dude, come on, man.
You knew that. And listen, I'm a Cowboys fan, but look, that's just for entertainment purposes only. We know we're not going to win at this point. So look, we know we're not serious about winning those Super Bowls. Oh, what coach?
Wow. Did you want Prime?
Look, I wanted Prime. I would have taken Pete Carroll. I had 3 or 4 coaches I could have had. I don't know who this guy is. They just rolled off a donut truck in here, man. So yeah, we're going with the Eagles, and that hurts me to say it, but they got a great organization, and I got to go with my man, our frat brother Jalen Hurts on this one.
I got to go with KC, and
I hear you.
For the only reason, man, KC, their coaching, their strategy for each game changes.
No, it's great.
Yeah, and so the mechanics and everything behind that, I'll put coaching behind talent, before talent. every time.
And not like Mahomes doesn't have that plus some, right? I mean, it's a dynasty in the making. And I told my boy Quentin Lucas, who's the mayor of Kansas City, good brother, want to get him here to come talk to us about some things they've been doing. But a young brother, real bright cat. And I said, man, you may have the best time. I said, you get all these free Super Bowl tickets. I said, you ain't do nothing to deserve it.
Right.
He said, yeah. He said, but I also had to worry about the parades too. I said, all right, you got a little bit of work in there.
Right.
But I said, I'll take the winning parade for the Super Bowl and everything you get for KC. When you got Mahomes, hey, you know you're always in business.
Wow, what does a Super Bowl do for a city? Like,
oh man, one that the mayors will tell you and the business people, sports is such a force multiplier. It's why we are, and I said this last night at the State of the City, why we're investing in a downtown arena and convention center, because we want tournaments here. Right. Sports is a uniter. And so when you have, sports coming, we're also in talks around Major League Soccer team. I didn't say a minor league soccer team, but a Major League Soccer team. Right. It puts your city on the map in a different way for companies, for individuals, for entrepreneurs. And it really, it's recognition and it is perception that you have arrived. David Holt, another good colleague of mine, is the mayor of Oklahoma City. I said, man, when I lived in Texas, I don't remember people talking about Oklahoma City. Now I see you guys on all these lists. I said, what changed? I literally was expecting him to say, hey, Steve, we did all this stuff in economic development. We did all these things in tech. He said the Oklahoma City Thunder.
The Thunder.
He said when the Thunder came from Seattle, he said it was like we were on the map. And he said prior to that, we could never get big time companies and projects to come. He said the Thunder changed everything. And he's born and raised in OKC. And so when you take a major league team and then you multiply times a Super Bowl, it just really elevates your city. Right. And it elevates the culture in your city, the confidence in your city, the attitude in your city. And then people outside your city are like, well, I never thought about visiting Kansas City. I never thought about opening an office there or expanding there. And believe it or not, because sports, it has grown that for them. So it's a great thing.
Do you think professional sports could ever compete with Roll Tide football? like that is our pro sport.
You know what? I actually do, because I really think Roll Tide football is basically professional sports.
Right.
I mean, we have gotten to that level now where you essentially got almost European club teams, in the top 40 colleges, both for football and basketball, in the revenue producing sports.
Right.
So I actually do think that. And again, one of the things you have to consider when we think about Alabama as a state, not just Montgomery, but why Birmingham didn't get into the NFL game at the time when Birmingham was bigger than Atlanta in the 60s.
Right.
And Atlanta had the foresight to do it. Birmingham kind of yielded to the Bear not wanting that competition and not seeing it as complimentary.
Right.
And so again, those decisions, you can't just look at in the moment. You have to think about the long term and growth. So for us, soccer is a growth sport. We know that. That's why we want to play in it, because it is growing globally, it's growing domestically. So I think professional sports can compete with it. And I think, when they're done well, they can compete with it in the state of Alabama, like Birmingham's team has in the XFL, not in terms of drawing eyeballs and people yet, but just in terms of drawing interest. And I think as those football leagues continue to grow, we'll see that happen more. And maybe we'll be able to talk about that, or maybe the next mayor at a different time, that'll be their project.
But we can say it started with you.
Hey, absolutely.
I'm going to be an old man. I remember when Stephen Well, that's cool. So the title of this show, I don't know why it was placed on my spirit to do Defying Gravity, but so many people struggle with depression.
Oh, yeah.
Anxiety, panic. And, even myself raising young men, as they enter into adulthood, and you talk to them and you seeing how these things hold you down. So gravity, to me, are those things: life, work, family. Like, it's here.
Yeah.
And it has the ability to bring you down to the ground. But each and every day I go to work, I read, I work out to defy gravity. Mm-hmm. So when gravity happens, I'm not going under.
Yeah.
So to me, it makes all of the sense in the world. What I want to do with each of my guests that come here, I want them to talk about gravity as it pertains to them in their life and how do they defy gravity. Because I feel like we can talk as people to help each other defy gravity. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Cool. So what does gravity mean to you?
You know, gravity to me means staying grounded and being anchored, in, your place spiritually, mentally, and physically, and not letting, anything too good get you too high off the ground or anything bad get you, down on the ground.
Right.
It is really maintaining that balance. And, it's a challenge. I'll be the first to say that. I don't always have the best balance. We kind of ebb and flow. I just have, my parents, my family, wife and kids, my brother and sister, cousins, good friends now who are like brothers, as well as a great support network around here in Montgomery of former teachers, former coaches, people that are really, really encouraging, but, aren't scared to, kind of say, hey, here's some things we need you to do too.
Right.
I think, keeping prayer life is essential.
Right.
I also believe in just really kind of getting even outside the religious realm and thinking about things from a spiritual and a mental mindset as well, just to kind of balance it, whether it's working out, trying to maintain that focus so I can clear my head. But it's sometimes just getting that downtime with your friends and your family where nothing's on the table, and you're playing cards, you're playing some games, you're talking about the good old days, you're looking at old pictures, you're watching, talking about an old movie or TV show or some old music.
Right.
I'm hearing Jay-Z right now. I'm hearing Outkast. You're hearing those things. Some of my boys, they'll send lyrics like in some of our chats. And I'm like, man, I forgot about that song. I forgot that was number 6 on the CD. Some of the folks don't even know what CDs are.
Right.
So, but all of those things for me, help me defy gravity and keep me grounded in a way that I think is necessary for a job like mayor and what we're trying to do here in the city.
So you're a Jay-Z fan, right?
Definitely.
What's your favorite Jay-Z lyric? What you got?
Oh, man. Oh, I can't help the poor from one of them. So I got rich to get back. That's the win-win.
That's like that.
That's easy.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Ace to the OV.
I used to move snowflakes by the
OZ.
I guess even back then you can
call me
CEO of the
ROC.
Oh, that was good. Man, I got a cool man.
That's it.
Even last night when you came out, we're in the Shakespeare. I'm sitting up. I tucked my shirt in. When they introduced Steve, what song was that they played?
What was it? Was that One-on-One?
Yeah.
Gunna. You gotta have that's my beats.
Man, no, you walked out like, yeah, that's what's up. That is history, man.
Yeah.
Like I've been in this city to see that level of culture, hip hop culture in a municipality. Am I using the right word?
That's it. Yeah, you got it.
Bro, it's major. So that is history, bro.
Yeah, man. Listen, I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who's helping us make it because it's continuing. That's the good thing, right? It hasn't stopped. It didn't stop on election night in November 2019. It's been continuing. And I think the thing that we have brought because of the energy and the vibe of people like yourself is a level of Black excellence that I just came from Carver and just getting a chance I want to present them a check because they came to the Rosa Parks ceremony. And I told them, I said, sometimes it's just about showing up.
Yep.
I learned that a long time ago and I had to learn it, right? I didn't know it. The elders had to teach me. Sometimes, Reed, just be here, all right? Don't worry about all this other stuff and you don't know how God's going to bless you. Just be here. And I told, Dr. Hall and Dr. Terry and all of them, I was just glad that those young people were there on a night when they probably wouldn't want to be there. I wouldn't have wanted to be there. And so for us, we're continuing to make the history because, one of the young men asked me for my autograph. I said, I want your autograph now, right? Because I know you're going to do something great. So we're continuing to make the history because of the vibe, and I think because of the contribution of so many people here who've been waiting on it. And I think, man, when I am in City Hall, I'm doing something, it can be here or another city. And I think back to all those folks when I was growing up who were talking about, okay, we'll have a black mayor. And when we get a black mayor, and I mean, you couldn't have told me anything that would be me. Right. Not then, I mean, not at all. And I just think about their spirit and what they had to go through and why that was such a big deal, when I'm in these rooms and we were making decisions, I'm not just there for me. I'm there for the people now and who to come, but also for the people who passed on, who never had the chance to have, somebody in the Divine Nine. Right. Somebody, that they knew personally and intimately in their social circle to talk to about things. And I feel like, that's what we have to do to deliver. So that history is still being made. So when we talk about big projects here and big ideas, that's the history and that's the legacy that all of us are leaving who are playing a role. I just happen to be the face and the voice of it for now, but we know it's a whole community of people that are uplifting this vision and allowing us to get where we are.
Well, let me ask you something, because I hinted to it earlier, and you can let me know if you're uncomfortable with answering it, but I want to see, what does the future look like? Like, everybody's saying you have interest in other positions, more national, a more national position, but what does the future look like for you, like once you decide to let it go here locally?
Yeah, well, one, I think on the national side, there's that expectation that you always want to, climb higher. And for me, I look at impact. Mm-hmm. And impact doesn't necessarily mean you're at the biggest or most visible place. Impact is, what are you doing with where you are? Right. And in a large way, that was part of my calculus about not running for Congress. It was, where can I make impact? I know the appearance, but where can the impact be made? And for me, there was still and still are things that we haven't done in Montgomery that I want to have an impact and kind of lay that foundation so that those next leaders, again, not just political, education, business, philanthropic, faith leaders, pastors, they don't have to, kind of do some of the things that those that came before us had to do, or even some of us right now are dealing with. Now, I look at the standpoint of, where can I be most beneficial to my community? And I'll always kind of evaluate that, but it's not just a matter of title for me or position. It's a matter of purpose. It's a matter of, where is that purpose at that time? So for me, it's certainly anchored again, right here in the city and doing the work that I think still needs to be done. And then I think we're doing at a high level because of not only the blessings, but the experience and exposure that I have. Now, when that time comes, and hopefully I'll make the decision before the people make it for me. Look, we always want
they didn't make it for you. Yeah. They said this your last term.
Oh no, I won't say that. I won't say that.
What's up.
Yeah,
I won't. Talking about. I thought you were dipping.
No, listen. Now unless the folks have something I don't know.
Okay, that's what's up.
No, for us, we still got some big things to do. Whether it's housing, entrepreneurship, we talked about the major projects around growth, education, all those spaces. But I think when that time does come, I want to be able to be influential and impactful in a way that's not political. Right. So that may be philanthropic, it may be corporate, it may be entrepreneurial, but it is to be able to go to a different plane where you can focus on moving the community forward and the macro region forward just in a different manner. And so again, if that's business or if that's in another space, then that's kind of what I envision. But I always envision being a part and being someone who is purposefully trying to move our city and our region. And I call really Selma, Tuskegee, the Black Belt, really our region that we have to look out for because of the history that was made there and the people that, really changed not only lives for folks here in Alabama, but Black people, writ large in the nation and beyond.
Right. Well, as I pivot, I want to ask you another difficult question. What has been the hardest part about being the mayor of Montgomery, Alabama? Like, I've seen a couple of instances on the news, and I'm like, I know Steve want to snap.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna even. No, I'll let you answer the question.
Yeah, I think the hardest part has been culture change,
Right.
and just trying to get people out of the mindset of the mediocre
Right.
and the average. Now, I say this, and again, born in St. Margaret's Hospital, went to Church Centennial Hill, live and still live a couple of blocks from ASU. So I'm in the heart of the city, in the heart of these places and spaces where the Black community resided and were impacted. And I think in some ways we kind of became accepting of things that were really not up to our standards. And really, we should have been pushing for more long before I came in to say, well, why aren't we doing things like this, or why don't we have some of these things? We almost began, in my opinion, to accept that we weren't or couldn't do better than what we were doing. And, I said before, we talk about faith, but we live out of fear. And we don't really marry the faith and the action that's necessary. So the hardest part for me has been changing minds and changing the understanding of what is possible for us to do. And again, I think when, as has been said to me now, by several others, when you had the opportunity to see some of our icons and our luminaries that truly, truly are trailblazers and history makers for whatever I may or may not be right now, you have a different perspective of what they had to deal with, because you hear the unedited version. Right. You hear the downs. So your point about gravity, you hear the setbacks. Right. And you understand it didn't all happen in a 2-hour movie, or 2-minute, video, or even a 30-second short. Right. You realize that these are things that, really took their toll on folks. So that has been the hardest part for me, is to really, reset the minds and what we should expect and what we should demand in some cases. Right. And to change the culture, of which I know it takes more than me. It takes people like yourself and many others to say, this is what we're going to embrace. This is what we're going to do. And I believe that we can do it at a higher level than maybe it's ever been done before.
Right. Well, I appreciate the work, and I'm pretty sure many of the people out there appreciate your work. But I want to pivot right now, and I want to do something. I know I'm catching you off guard.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. But I want to play a game called Montgomery Jeopardy.
All right.
You're only going to...
I don't know how good I've been at Jeopardy. So.
Yeah. We're going to give you about 60 seconds, and we're going to ask you a few questions in a Jeopardy style.
Okay.
And we're going to see if you can answer with the right response.
All right. Yeah, y'all can't be talking about me.
Yeah.
I don't answer these.
Hold on, we got you.
All right.
Here we go. This arcade, a favorite for kids and teens, was a go-to spot inside of Montgomery Mall for video games, pinball, and fun.
Oh, okay. Diamond Gems.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. But it's supposed to be Who is Diamond Gems?
Oh, Who is Diamond Gems? I told you. Okay, Who is Diamond Gems? All right.
Okay.
All right, fair point.
If you spent all your quarters in this Montgomery Mall staple, you might also have to grab some food from this popular food court restaurant serving burgers and fries.
Who was serving burgers and fries? Okay, we used to go to Sbarro for the pizza.
Thing, that was right. That was good.
Who was Sbarro? Okay.
Yeah, that was Sbarro's.
Okay, all right.
Cool. All right, the next category, sounds and scents of Montgomery.
All right.
Before digital streaming, music lovers in Montgomery could find the hottest records, posters, and incense at this iconic boutique.
Yeah, who is the African head shop?
What you know about the African head shop?
Oh, man.
Well, it was one incense I wanted to smell every time my mama.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I got 2 more.
All right.
Before it was known as the Camellia Bowl, this annual Christmas Day football game brought together top college players from the North and South.
Hey, I'm gonna go back to a name y'all too young in here to know, and that's when they called him All World. Y'all talk about All State and All American.
All World.
But if you All World, yeah, I mean that's everything. There's not a better nickname, and that was Jerry All World Rice at the Blue Gray game, showing out for 4 touchdowns. Who is Jerry All World?
Jerry Rice. He played it.
Yeah, All World.
That's what's up. Oh, you losing time, bro. Here we go.
All right, let me get to it.
All right, the best ribs in town. If you were looking for the best ribs and a lively nightlife on the South Boulevard in the early 90s, this was the place to be.
Oh, man. Okay, hold on. You said ribs. I had a few. Then you said South Boulevard. Them bones.
Man, you looking at my paper, man.
Them bones.
That's it. Them bones.
All right. Okay. I wasn't sure about that one. I was confident in the other ones. I wasn't sure about that one. You helped me with the Southern Boulevard, so I appreciate that one.
Mayor Reed, I must say, you are Montgomery. Huh?
Through and through.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, cool. Look, I want to end this podcast. Look, I want you to tell me your top 3 priorities you believe will shape the city in the next 5 years.
Ooh.
Huh?
All right.
Coming straight off the state of the city.
Okay. Top 3 priorities. One is to certainly make sure the city is safer. Adding more police officers. And I would like to get more homegrown police officers out of MPS, out of our communities, to serve and protect our communities. So certainly for those who have not thought about law enforcement as a career, I want them to think about law enforcement as a career. A lot of shows you can check out. It's good work. It's now paying a lot better than it used to pay. And you're able to do good in the hood. Right. And I think that part is important. So public safety for sure. The downtown arena and expansion of the convention center is major because that will probably allow us to almost double the amount of conferences and conventions. So those are jobs. Those are, small business opportunities for restaurants. Those are opportunities for us to bring talented entertainers here at a venue that we don't have right now, to work with, one of the larger companies and booking more events and acts here, which I think will allow for our creatives to have more opportunities too. And it's going to bring in a lot of money, a lot of development and growth, which we have to have, for the city. The third thing I think is more on the economic and entrepreneurial front, if I can merge the two together. It is to make sure that we're getting talent, but certainly young Black talent to consider Montgomery, those who are from here and have left, and those who've never thought about it, so that we can create our own renaissance, if you will, in the city around those things that we discussed earlier. So whether that's in the tech space, whether that's in education, whether that's in other areas around small business and entrepreneurial growth, we've got to grow those areas because that is going to be the future of our economy moving forward. And you can't have a thriving city, much less region, if you don't have a healthy tax base, if you don't have people who are making money and spending it and getting other people to work, somebody to cut their grass, literally, somebody to paint their house, somebody to work on their car. We don't think about the economy in terms of the domino effect, but you have to have some money to do that. So for us, we have to set the environment and atmosphere that people want to come here, that people with like minds and who share our vision and values see Montgomery as a place where diversity, equity, and inclusion is not a bad word, where it is a strength and not a weakness, and where they see that as being in the ethos, because that's what the birthplace of the civil rights movement was all about. So we do that, then we'll be successful.
They're trying to get rid of it, huh?
Absolutely. And we have to make sure we're on the front lines to push back where we can. And that's all of us. All of us have social media platforms. Some of us have, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of followers. You got to use that in the way that the old guard and the elders did without, smartphones, without social media. We have to use that to spread the word and to galvanize, to create action that brings about positive change for us with these platforms. And I think we have probably more of a responsibility to do that here than maybe any other city.
Mayor Reed, thank you.
Hey,
thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, brother.
Defying Gravity. Thank you to everybody for watching it. We'll see you next time.
I got steady motion, 2, 3, I'm like Jordan. Every day I'm jumping, I turn up the function. I'ma keep it jumping, jumping, jumping. I'ma keep it jumping, jumping and jumping. I got steady motion.